You know what? Let's talk a little Vols. That is not me trying to take any shine away from the phenomenal channel Talking Vols and my guy Boogie Bentley runs. So shout out to them. But let's talk a little Vols here.
Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. We got to be honest. Sometimes we got to be transparent. We got to speak the truth to each other, me to you and you to me. And I think an apology is in order, but I'm not sure if it's time to roll that apology out yet. And that's what I want to talk about with you today. Who deserves an apology? I think it's Glenn Ellerbe. And you got to be honest with yourself. Are you one of these people that has been a little critical of Glenn Ellerbe and what he's done on the recruiting trail, what he's done developing players at Tennessee? And I feel like I may be regurgitating the same information that I've said before, but I think it needs to be said again. And when you look at what Glenn Ellerbe has done since arriving at Tennessee, yes, I agree. We can agree in the class of 22, the class of 23, Glenn Ellerbe missed. You know, you got a couple of blue chippers. You got Addison Nichols, who's no longer with the program. You got Shamrod Umarov, who a lot of people think could contribute at that left guard position going into the 2024 season. But if you skip ahead after those first two cycles, and we can talk about an NCAA investigation, we can talk about limited numbers, we can talk about whatever, we can make excuses. But it's fair to criticize Glenn Ellerbe in those first couple of cycles. But let's look at facts. Let's look at the class of 2024. Four-star offensive tackle Bennett Warren, 135th best player in the country. William Satterwhite, four-star interior offensive lineman, comes in at 281. Max Anderson, four-star interior offensive lineman, comes in at 319. That's three blue-chip offensive linemen that are just about inside the on 300. I don't think five-star offensive linemen grow on trees. I think that's a pretty good haul. Not to mention pointing out three-star offensive tackle Gage Ginther, who everybody is calling underrated. And then let's go ahead and plug in Lance Hurd. And I know some people, when you're in an argument, when you're in a debate, when you're trying to tell me that Glenn Ellerbe can't get it done at Tennessee, you're not going to count Lance Hurd. You're not going to factor in that Lance Hurd was a five-star offensive tackle in the class of 23. You're not going to factor in that Lance Hurd was the number 22 overall player in the country and the fourth best offensive tackle in that class of 23. How much better would the class of 23 been for you? Had Tennessee landed a five-star offensive tackle, I think we would be talking about Glenn Ellerbe a little bit differently. And you did go and get him in the transfer portal, and I think you do have to count that when you're grading Glenn Ellerbe and what he's done at Tennessee. Then let's fast forward to this cycle, the class of 25. You've added four-star interior offensive lineman Douglas Utu, 54th best player in the country. You've added four-star interior offensive lineman Nick Moore, again, just outside that on 300, comes in at 318. Anthony Agumoro, a three-star interior offensive lineman, is trending up. His ratings boost, he's already up to 435. He's right on the verge of getting that boost to a four-star prospect. I think you got to finish off this class, right? You got to finish off the class of 25. You got to go get David Sanders. I think that's what so many people are going to keep an eye on. Can Josh Heupel and Glenn Ellerbe close out on David Sanders? And if you do, I think there's a little icing on the cake. You still have an opportunity with Josh Petty, and some people are going to say, nope, there's absolutely no shot that Tennessee goes and gets Josh Petty. Austin Price just a week or two ago said this is a different recruitment. He said it wouldn't shock me if he picked the Vols, it wouldn't shock me if he picked Georgia Tech, and it wouldn't shock me if he picked Florida State. But I think that's the icing on top of the cake. You get David Sanders. This class of 25 is a solid haul on top of the class of 24, also on top of a five-star offensive tackle Lance Hurd in the transfer portal. I think some people are going to owe Glenn Ellerbe an apology here in a couple of months. A couple more targets, more icing on top of the cake coming up, going to come off the board. They've set commitment dates. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about it. I want you guys to jump to the comment section right now and tell me how you feel about Glenn Ellerbe. And I want, if you disagree with me, if you disagree with that Josh Heupel and Glenn Ellerbe did a good job with the offensive line in the class of 24, I want you to explain to me why. Don't just drop that Glenn Ellerbe can't get it done. He signed three guys just inside the top 300. I think that's pretty good. But as always, smash the thumbs up for me, even if we disagree. That's the beautiful thing about this channel. We can have civil discussion and debate about this Tennessee football program. It's for the fans, by the fans. We're not experts here. I'm not talking at at you. I'm trying to have a conversation with you, for the fans, by the fans. If you like what we do, make sure you subscribe. Click that bell for notifications. You're not going to miss out when we go live or when we drop a video. Got a fun one coming up. Been talking to Jaden Lofton's uncle, 4-star edge rusher, committed to Tennessee. We're going to get him on the channel coming up sooner rather than later. So make sure you're subscribed and that bell is clicked for notifications so you don't miss out on that one. That should be a fun interview. But let's jump into it. Again, a couple of offensive line prospects scheduled to come off the board. First, we got Jacoby Ward. He is a 3-star interior offensive lineman. You can see here on the screen, he's dropped his top 3. You want to talk about 3 stars, but I think Tennessee's in some good company there. Tennessee, Auburn, and LSU. He's going to make his decision on July the 6th. Now, 247 Sports put out an update, said Tennessee has been one of the top contenders for Ward, a rising senior, said for at least the past few months. He's now just a few days away from announcing his commitment. Originally planned to pick a school on the 4th of July, but now he's scheduled to reveal his choice on Saturday. Auburn has widely been viewed as the team to beat for months, and that hasn't changed down the stretch, although the Vols impressed him during his official visit to Knoxville last month. Both 247 Sports crystal ball predictions still point to the Tigers as the team to beat heading into Saturday's announcement. Now, when I look at Jacoby Ward, that's what I see a lot of. I see a lot of Tennessee and a lot of Auburn. Did Tennessee do enough? Now, Jacoby Ward visited Knoxville for the first time back in April. Coming off of that visit, this is the update that Matt Ray over at VolQuest put out. He said Ward took his first visit to Tennessee today. The Vols made a strong impression prior to this visit via their communication, and today was no different. He had a great time at Tennessee, right up there at the top of this one. Several teams are involved, but Auburn is the other team to beat. He took his official to Auburn on June the 7th, then followed it up with that official to Tennessee on the 14th before visiting LSU on the 21st. Coming out of that visit, Matt Ray of VolQuest again said the Vols did well here. So while the national perception has always been Auburn, anything that I've read on the General's Quarters, anything that I've read at 247 Sports, sounds like Tennessee has always been right there. Have they done enough? This is a quote from Ward himself. Said they sat down and told me where I fit in the depth chart, stuff like that. They told me how much I mean to Tennessee. The visit helped Tennessee a lot. Tennessee has always been one of my top schools, but with the official visits, it's been way better than the last time. Again, Vols, Auburn, Vols, Auburn, Vols, Auburn. That's all I keep hearing. But then I also hear Austin Price, and I hear Matt Ray say Vols and Auburn, but it's a lot closer than people think. Go back to Douglas Utu, right? That's an offensive lineman that we really weren't talking a whole lot about. Really didn't. I never felt like Tennessee was going to lock down Douglas Utu, and he's just outside the top 50. That is an elite blue chip prospect that we weren't talking enough about, but he pulled the trigger and he commits to Tennessee. Now, another guy that announced his commitment date, and this is an interesting one too. Similar to Douglas Utu, this is an interesting one for me, and I know a lot of people are going to see this and just say, Juan Gaston's going to Georgia. It's a lock. It's a done deal. This guy's quiet, and that's what makes it interesting. When AP and when Matt Ray and when those insiders can't really get a gauge on where a guy's at because he's so quiet, that is intriguing to me. 4-star interior offensive lineman Juan Gaston will announce his decision on August the 2nd per Steve Wiltfong. Will he choose Georgia, Oregon, Tennessee, or South Carolina? Those are the top 4. Those are going to be the teams he chooses from. Now, according to mom, he is looking for development. She said in a quote, I think at this point, it's about development. He definitely wants to go to the next level, a winning program, team atmosphere, team culture. You know, when you point to development, I think the first guy you're going to point to is Darnell Wright, right? Top 10 NFL draft pick under this staff. I think that's big. I think that's crucial, being able to point to a player that recently went to the next level. I think I've said it time and time again. Tennessee's got to continue to do that. We're seeing them do that with the defensive line, with BY off in the NFL now, James Pierce, buzz around the top 10, maybe even top draft pick. You look at the offensive line, Cooper Mays, I saw just recently he was put out as a first-team All-American along with James Pierce for Tennessee. That's what you need. Buzz. You need to be in the national media. You need to be putting guys in the league and proving that development. Now, sounds like this is really not about South Carolina, Tennessee, and Georgia and Oregon. It sounds more like it is Tennessee and Georgia. That's the teams that are out front for his commitment. We'll get the profile up there on the screen, but an elite prospect inside the top 200, a 4-star, again, a blue chipper. Icing on the cake. If you roll through this class of 25 and you've signed Douglas Utu, you've signed David Sanders, and then you add Juan Gaston on top of that, I mean, this is an elite haul for Glenn Ellerbe, and that's when I think an apology is due. I think an apology is due if you go and you land David Sanders. I think this is a solid haul for Glenn Ellerbe and Josh Heupel. But again, Tennessee, Georgia took his official visit to Georgia on May the 31st. He visited South Carolina that following week, and then rolling into the Tennessee official, this is what VolQuest put out. They said the more we talk to folks, the more it remains true that Tennessee is the biggest threat to pull Juan Gaston out of the state of Georgia. He did not commit to the Bulldogs earlier in the month while on a visit, and he has remained coy since and has dodged a couple of different Georgia reporters looking for updates. He and his family have certainly built strong relationships in Knoxville, and Tennessee will look to capitalize on that going into the weekend. That was of his official visit. Steve Wiltfong, after the commitment date was released, says he still likes Georgia here. He put in a prediction for Georgia back in May. That was with 60% confidence, but that's a true prediction, right? Going back to May, that is not a spoiler. That is a prediction. That is not dropping the Fong bomb in the final hour, but we will see what happens. I want you guys to jump to the comment section. What do you think about Jacoby Ward? What do you think about Juan Gaston? And what do you think about Glenn Ellerbe? Is it time to issue an apology? I'm interested to get into it and talk to you guys in the comment section. As always, make sure you smash the thumbs up on the way out the door. I would appreciate it. Go check out the Talkin VAWLS merch. We got 2 brand new shirts we just rolled out. You can go to bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS to check those out. That link's in the description. There's also a link in the description where you can join the channel. Get that Power T beside your name, but also you're supporting this channel. We couldn't do it without the members. I'm grateful for every single person that has clicked that join button, whether you give $1 or you give at the top level. We appreciate that support. You keep the lights on. You allow me to continue to bring you content every day. You are the reason that we have an opportunity to bring a guy like Jaden Lofton onto the show. He comes on here because they like the laid-back style where the fans are part of the show. It ain't about me. It ain't about Coach Jay, Coach Rice, Dauber, Xavier. It's not about us. It's about you guys. It's about the fans. It's about the community. And Jaden's uncle told me that himself. He said, I love the laid-back style where everybody is a part of the show. That's what it's all about. So that goes to you guys. That's a shout-out to you guys. We appreciate it. We love you guys. But that is going to do it for this one. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.